What's going on YouTube? It's Ordyh here. We're back at a new video. Now, usually these last couple weeks I've been posting Twitch stream highlights, twitch.tv/Ordyh. Shameless plug, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about league play and competitive classes. The competitive scene is, the life cycle of the game has been out for half a year now, and I know a lot of more hardcore gamers of the competitive scene know their roles, know their classes, but this is more for the newbies, people who are just now dipping their toes into it. Maybe they were nervous at first to try league play, now they're trying it. This is just to help them. So again, this isn't for you guys who watch a lot of my videos or who watch the stream, who understand competitive. This is more for like the newcomers, try to help, you know, try to help like raise everyone to the next level. That's all I've ever tried to do. So we're gonna get into it right now. Give me 1 second. Changing the scene. Okay, so the first thing, like I've said in my previous video a long time ago about classes, is to figure out your role, figure out what specialist you're going to use, and kind of stick with it. I know league play specifically can be very difficult, especially when you play by yourself. You might not always get the role you want or the character you want. But if you're playing like a team of 5, let's say you have like a team, you know, I'm sure there's ways to find it on Twitter or Reddit, whatever, just even playing maybe. So figure out a role. For example, today we're going to talk about battery, because that's my role. My role has actually changed a lot since then, because my video a long time ago was Crash. I've then played, I went from Crash to Battery, Battery to Ruin, Ruin back to Battery, just because it was his preference, I guess. I mean, I've always felt like I wasn't terrible with the other ones. I just felt like we wanted to change things up just to see if it would work better, and some did, some didn't. Got to go back because some people didn't like what they were doing, so it was whatever. So find your specialist that you're good with. Like, we're talking about Battery. If you like Crash, whatever. I mean, that's not for them. I'll probably do other videos about other characters, but we're gonna go with Battery. We're gonna make these classes, for you directly. So every class has Stim Shot. That is a 100% thing. Now, I personally am a SOG player, so this is a class that I would use if I was the Battery player on the team. So we're gonna go with SOG, stock 1, fast mags, quick draw. Now, before I get into this, these classes are specifically for respawn, so hardpoint and control. Not necessarily much for your search and destroy. I don't like going over search stuff, but this is pretty much what I would use off the break. This would be it right here for respawn at least. Now, you could use grip if you want, but we're going to go with fast mags. I'll explain that in a second. This is class 1. This is what I would use off the break all the time. Lightweight. This is the only class you should be using on your first life every single game, because you want that 4% movement speed to get to your off the break to the hill quicker than them. I know it's only 4%. Usually it used to be 7%, but still, it helps. It really does. We're going with that silence off the road just because we have an extra point to use. I mean, if you want to use a pistol or whatever, you can. If you want to use something else, you could, like Tackmaster Flak Jacket. That's up to you. But I use that silence because technically you could use this class for search as well, so it frees you up a class for later. And we're going with, like I said, stock. Every SOC should have stock. Every SOC should have quick draw. The last preference is the fast mag thing. Now, if this was search and destroy, I'd probably go with grip over fast mags, but since this is respawn, I feel like fast mags is just so much better. There's so many times where you get in these situations where you need to reload quick. You shot put someone, you spray someone else down, you want to quickly reload to get that third person or help, whatever. Like, this game's so fast paced, and being that SOG player, you're head smashing a lot, you're baiting, you're switching, you're trading. Like, that's one thing you have to understand about a SOG player in this game. It's like, you have to accept that your life doesn't matter or doesn't have as much value on the map as other players on the map. Like, a lot of your kills, or deaths, I should say, are because you're being used as bait for your other teammates a lot. I mean, you can go off. I'm not saying you can't go off and drop 6,000-7,000 damage. I've done it before. It's not hard to do. I'm just saying most of the time, though, you're going to be like in the middle somewhere in terms of damage and kills. Not always going to be on the top. Usually your Maddox players are put on top. So, again, back to fast mags. I just feel like fast mags is just better in respawn. So that's the first class. Like I said, lightweight, always class 1. Even if you're using a Maddox, if you're using whatever, class 1 should always be a Maddox. Again, we have equipment because we have cluster grenade in it, which is stupid, but it's used, again, stim shot and everything. So this is class number 2. This is what I would use if I was A battery player playing respawn. Got that. Same setup here. Got engineer. Dexterity is going to be on all classes as well. So you have engineer and tac mask. Very important. This is the class you're going to be using 98% of the game in respawn, like hard points. Like I said, this will be off the break. This is your first life. Once you die after that first life, you switch to this for like the rest of the game. Because, okay, engineer is very important if you're a battery player. I don't care what anyone says. I feel like engineer should almost always be on, unless there's some extreme conditions. Especially as a SOG player, you should always have engineer because you want to see where the trophies are. Because trophies are very important. Trophies get used a lot. There's teams who, every team has one trophy user. There are teams who even sometimes go to two. I've seen it. It happens. So I feel like engineer is needed because you don't want to waste your cluster grenade. You don't want to waste your war machine. Attack mess is to counter the stuns. Dexterity should be on every class. Copy. Paste. This is the third class. This is the class that you use to counter their war machine. Or if you have war machine out. Like if you have war machine, I would switch to this class. So I don't hurt myself with the war machine. That's just something that, I mean, it could happen, especially on smaller maps like Frequency. And also, this is the class I would switch to if they have their war machine. Like, you see, like that's the beauty of how CWL rules are now. Everything is set to score now. There's no time. Like, you don't get over time now. It's just set to a score. So, like, once you see that battery's at 1700, you should be like, okay, switch to Flak Jacket. That's why this class exists. Engineer again, so you can switch to your war machine so you can see it so you don't waste it. Like I said, this next class, this will be the last class I show for SOGs. This class will not get seen a lot. I have OCD, so I gotta switch that to look like that. This class will only be used if you're playing a game and you see that they have enough score for War Machine and Tempest. You will more than likely not use this class a lot. It's just there just in case. Again, you hit that back button, you see 1700 score. That's what it is for War Machine and for Tempest. Prophet's Tempest. This is to help counter both. So Flak and Tac, the Flak Tac class. So you don't guess wrong. Like, okay, let's say you guess wrong. Let's say they both have 1700 score. You're like, oh crap, they might have Tempest out. Switch to Tac, but then they don't have it out. But then the War Machine has it out, and you get blown up to bits. Or vice versa. Like, oh, there's 1700. She's 1700. Then you walk into a room, and you get zapped, and you get knocked. So like this kind of counters both. But again, the SOG is the same thing. And yeah, but again, this doesn't happen very often. So these are the two classes you're going to be using most of the game. Like I said, First Life, and these two are the rest of the game. This is just in case. Now, for you battery players out there who use a Maddox, let's just say we're going to go over these classes as well. I do have these classes in my league play and in custom games. I do use these just in case as well if I have to be, because there are maps like Hacienda, Arsenal, Gridlock, that I need to use a Maddox instead of the SOG. Like we flex it around a little bit. Like we'll switch some strategies up and be a 2 Maddox, 2 ICR, 1 SOG type of group. It happens. So you got this class. Again, your first Maddox class is off the break, lightweight dexterity, get places faster. ELO, double quick draw stock. We're going to copy this over one time. We're going to get rid of this. This will be the class I use for the rest of the game. I'm lying. This will be the class I use for the rest of the game. An engineer, so I can see their stuff. It is risky not to have Tac or Flak on, but sometimes you gotta do it. We're gonna copy this 2 more times. So, wait, did I just mess this up? No. Alright, so this one's gonna have Tac, copy, 8. This is gonna have Flak, obviously. So, these are the 4 Maddox classes I would recommend if you are a Maddox player for battery. Because again, you have Maddox, ELO sight, double quick draw stock, same simple stuff. You got your cluster grenade. This is off the break. This is your first life. Once you die, you should switch to this engineer so you can see the trophies, so you don't waste your clusters, so you don't waste your war machine. This class is if you're going up against a stun heavy team. There are teams, especially like in league play, like some people might run 2 or 3 stuns. Maybe sometimes you never know. This class can be also used for search, obviously because of dead silence. This class is Flak. It counters the War Machine. Could be used for search as well to counter frag grenades. And that's pretty much it. I mean, these last classes are up to you. It's all preference. Uh, you could make a flat tack class as well and just be like extra risky about it. Like get rid of maybe Elo for quick or for like that. This is kind of a risky class, but especially without the dexterity. I would probably use this just in case. I've seen pros use this. Again, just in case they have Tempest and War Machine, like enough score for both, and you don't want to risk dying the other one. Now you're free with 3 classes. This is a preference. I'm not going to go over that stuff. Again, this was just for respawn. So again, Zog, this, Maddox, this. That's pretty much it. If you want, I can go over other classes in another video. Maybe for users who use stuns or ICRs, if you guys want, let me know in the comments below. That's pretty much it. I'm this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And good luck out there in the League Play grind.